The serpent biting its tail. Our first guest on the podcast. What was that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago? Almost now. It
Time
was a
flies.
it was a while.
Time flies.
We've gotten into some shit afterwards.
Yeah.
'Cause, um, some of that stuff is going to come out pretty soon.
Yeah. We'll
We'll
get
talk
into
about
that.
that later. Um, I wanted to invite you back on because one, it's your episode has been one of our most popular episodes. People really like that conversation. They were kind of mind blowing about our connection and how we kind of like met and then how we met again later on. The I guess I guess like a lot of this conversation I wanted to like kind of gear towards some of the stuff we're doing now and some of the stuff you're doing now. You're doing a lot. I've seen you out there kind of going crazy on the whole Hollywood side of things, which is fucking
Yeah.
great, man. I'm pretty excited about what you're doing. But also um, the the stories, man. We could fill a few episodes of just some of the stories that every now and then, like we're shooting the shit on the sidelines, and then some weird story comes up, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, we should talk about this on the podcast or some point. So like, I wanted to like kind of like bring up some of those stories that we've been kind of reminiscing about. But before we go all like to all of that, um, for people that have not that might not know you and then not might not have seen that for the first episode, you have a lot of time in Tijuana,
Yeah.
experience wise. You were um, working here independently as a kind of like a freelancer, basically.
Yes.
You know, a thing that people don't realize about a lot of the stuff that went on here during the early 2000s is that people would come here to try and see if they could figure out a way to make a living here,
Survive.
survive. So you were on the lam literally from the US and you were trying to figure out your way. Also, you were like one thing you told me recently, you were dropping albums while you
Crazy. Like crazy.
you were dropping albums
La
as you
neta,
were on the run.
yo lo que estaba haciendo, básicamente estaba documentando Tijuana without using the word Tijuana in the music because I couldn't, y I got here to Tijuana, I'm thinking like 2002, 2003. So
Yeah.
if you guys go back in the timeline of Tijuana in those years, I got caught in 2016. So that whole timeline, I had content for days porque this is a city que like it's almost like Vegas. It doesn't sleep.
But you were working for an independent group here. You were, you know,
Just trying to eat, trying to like,
trying to eat, trying to survive, doing what was being done back then.
yeah,
There was a lot of players back then,
yeah,
some big ones
yeah,
and big names, but also uh, intermixed with all of that, there were people trying to figure things out.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
in those days, it was like one, and then one became two,
yeah.
and then there's like a lot of people like me that were just like in the midst of it all
And it was hunting
on the
season.
sidelines.
Yeah, and it was hunting season.
Yeah, it
Like
was hunting
you
season.
you would see somebody get really big, or a group or a crew get really big, then that dude's head would get cut off, and that crew would turn into two crews now.
Yeah,
And now before they were family, and now they want to kill each other. So it would just proliferate this war here.
there's a lot of like famous. I mean, to us or to people from here, that we call famous, like figureheads. There's songs about them. There's and we just lived amongst them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all of us were working at different sides of this fucking bullshit. I mean, I was doing my thing, you were doing yours, but like we would go out to some of the same nightclubs maybe
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
end of the day, or some famous singer would come in and like ahí andábamos, like we're in the bola. And yeah, like you would see these names that you say, like some of the people that have corridos on them, some of the people that died or disappeared on mysterious circumstances. We're not going to say those big names, but it's Tijuana in the early 2000s, so you would
yeah.
see these people show up to parties, um, and it's them because they would roll heavy, like armed inside of a bar and stuff like that. Um, while you were obviously on the run back then, and we're all doing shady shit on on our own end.
Yeah.
And you were still dropping albums though.
I
Like
just
how the fuck did you have the so that's bold as fuck to be able to just fucking be running around watching your back not only from the government but also from all the other fish in the sea who are
yeah.
trying to eat each other. And then you're dropping you were dropping these anonymous albums. Like,
Yeah.
when I say anonymous, I mean nobody knew where the fuck you were, and you were singing about the life while you were in the fucking life. It's
Yeah.
not like, hey, let me sing the songs about the time that I remember that I was doing this. You were in the fucking shit. You
Yeah.
were why?
I don't
Why
know.
were
I
you
just
exposing yourself like that?
like pues yo siempre ha sido música, right? And when I went on the run, I kind of got depressed because I felt like, damn, this has been me my whole life, and now I'm not gonna have it. So, and I did stop for a little bit, but then un día grabo un rapper que yo ya conocía aquí de Tijuana, grabo con él. De hecho, vamos aquí al estudio de los Tucanes que tienen aquí por la 20.
Yeah,
We go there, right? And I see the big board. I'm not sure if it was a SSL mixing board, but once I'm in that environment, I got inspired y encuentro un estudio en playas, Provision Studios. Voy para allá, lo mismo. Nice. I feel like, any studio in the US, okay, I could do this. But more than anything, I was just inspired by the city, by just everything, like everything that was going on around me, everything that I was doing, the people that I was around, and constant living in like I was living in anxiety.
yeah.
I had a lot of anxiety, like getting caught, and then sometimes I'll feel like man, fuck them. Finger to whatever, y eso would cause for me to like want to like just document it and life's never promised, tomorrow's never promised.
Th-
So I
th-
was like, dejar esta madre here just in case.
this is before the internet. The
It,
internet
it
was
was it was
around.
coming in. It
It
was
was
coming
coming
in.
in, but it's like there was no social media per se, so you were live reporting like a point of view thing through your music,
Yeah.
but you were also trying to keep it vague though. You didn't want to know. You didn't want to fucking say like announce it to the world that you were here.
Yeah.
And now, like we now that we're here, did you ever get a sense that people were actually try to figure out where you were through your music?
You know what? Some people did figure it out because and de primero cuando sí llegué, there was times que sí me fue la revo. I wouldn't want to be around where there was Americans, like
Yeah,
people from the US coming to Mexico to party, because I knew that I'd be spotted.
yeah.
Or sí me fui al Papas unas cuantas veces, or, but as time went on, I kind of like pulled back, like, nah, I can't be there. I can't be around Mexican Americans or just Americans, period. Y I say like towards the end, the last like 5 years, I was tired. And the more tired I got, the more music I started putting out. Like to where it was sometimes an album a month. Yeah, una vez, dos veces al mes. Me
What
acuerdo que una vez saqué tres en un mes.
what were you writing about? Like
The city,
the
the atmosphere, everything. Like my interactions with other people. Like I was immersed in it, and it's like like people that are watching this, they're from other places. So for them to see a dead body, it's a big thing. For us to see a dead body, it's like we're desensitized. Like, there's a head right there. There's a body with a little sign saying
the whole notion or image of somebody getting shot and then you're eating tacos and you're like, ah,
that happened to me. As a matter of fact, that happened to me.
it-
Estaba comiendo ahí por el hipódromo, right across the street, Calimax. They gave it to a guy, and my body did. I did kind of like jerk a little, got down a little bit, just because you know how it is. Like
yeah,
for us, like when we hear a shot, it's like we're trying to locate where
yeah,
that shot's coming from.
low and
Okay, it's
orientate.
right there. Okay, we see a getaway car. He, it was nothing.
Yeah.
It's
The
normal.
and also the whole like and back then you see it, you still see it now. You know, every now and then you'll see a. It's never a good thing to see an abandoned OXO cooler, like those
Yeah, yeah,
styrofoam.
yeah,
It's never a good thing to see them around. Um, I remember going to take a picture. They left a dude in a wheelbarrow,
yeah,
like in El Crea, like right in the soccer field. They just used a wheelbarrow and they just left this dude
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Arms like that, legs like down, torso, and his head on his chest without his face. And I remember just walking over and like taking a picture of it, you know, and walking back and the other like there was like, this is normal, you know. Just put a tarp over it and then just pull it out. It's a normal thing.
Un día en el puente, when you're going up Rosas Magallón,
Yeah.
up, and then you're gonna go you go to Rosarito, you're gonna go to Playas,
Yep.
like end destinations. En ese puente, habían colgado un vato, and like I remember, see, back then todavía no entraba los like taking phone like pictures with your phone.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody was taking
Eh,
pictures yet. Yeah.
not yet. The phones didn't, todavía no estaban tan. They had them, but they were kind of blurry. And in those days, I never had a smartphone. I was just los little throwaways, pinches teléfonos del
Twinkies,
Telcel, yeah,
those burners.
los little peanuts. Pero me acuerdo que estaba un vato ahí, and it was almost like, let's go back around and see him again.
Yeah.
Like,
It's like a weird curiosity, like kid, like
yeah.
all of us are 12. Let's go see it.
And then I remember at that time estaban saliendo los videos, like YouTube videos were coming up, but there was like other links, the cartel videos,
Yeah.
tan cortando vatos and all this, and
They,
those were addicting,
yeah.
you know?
You would start seeing them on Facebook out of all fucking places. You'd see
Yeah,
them drop on Facebook or Narco Blog was like it wasn't fully formed, but there was like elements
yeah,
of it out there.
yeah.
Uh
There was a couple other ones I remember that we would go to, and it was just like, that's what I'm saying. So people from other places, they don't, and for us,
the it wasn't a normal thing.
yeah, that's
And
like,
is that what you're singing?
yeah, no, I was going through the whole thing. So I just phased into it with all that into it without even, thinking about it twice. It's just like, okay, this and this. And then people were
and
coming up to me like, hey,
and how are you distributing it? Like you would record
so
you would record this shit when you were fucking on the run
yeah,
in a studio here.
yeah.
Like
Then I had my own studio. Then I got my own studio, my own house. And then, so this is what I would see. Look, when I first came on the run, era la época de los CDs.
yeah,
CDs were about to phase out. The first iPods ya habían salido, los little ones, los little skinny ones.
yeah.
El big one y los little skinny ones. Y so I had went from analog, I went to digital. So now they had digital distribution companies. So you could be anywhere in the world, upload to one of these distribution companies, and boom, it's out. You pick your release date. I want it tomorrow. Tomorrow it's out. So it just facilitated everything for me. So I was like, when I thought like, man, I had shit, but I couldn't put it out. Now it's like I did it, and I'm like, and then I'll go to the internet to check the reaction, and motherfuckers were like, no, it's the way. It'll create more of the mystique. ¿Dónde estará este vato? ¿Cómo está haciendo esto? And for the fans, I said this before, for them to have some Conejo music, it was like something that no one had. So it was like they were like aiding and abetting a
Yeah.
wanted fugitive, and they like, they cherished it, like they loved it, and this is me, and I'm with him, and I could hear the pain, I could feel, what he's going through, loneliness. It's just it's a being a fugitive is a lonely life. To be around people is like a blessing to go out and just be amongst people for a little while. Then you gotta go back in.
Yeah.
It's just like,
It's tiring. It's exhausting.
yeah,
Fucking exhausting. But you're not only maintaining that art that you brought with you and you were trying to get into when before all the shit went south.
yeah,
Uh but you were doing it live. The whole aspect of doing it live.
Yeah, yeah.
You were not singing about a past that you got out of.
Nah.
You're you're singing about a present that you were surviving.
Yeah.
I think there's something. I
And
mean, if people want to go back and listen to, like, what would you recommend they listen to like put themselves where you were back then when you were fucking
I
running around
mean,
here?
I mean, look, there's this one mixtape I had. It was called the Antichrist mixtape. That was the mixtape the in the hip hop scene. That was the new thing, dropping mixtapes, right? Y I remember because in TJ, I fell in love with reading. It was weird. Even though I'm going through all this stuff, me abría y me iba a una librería y compraba libros. And then in my downtime me ponía a leer. So I remember que me acababa de aventar Friedrich Nietzsche, The Antichrist.
Okay.
So cuando acabo eso, I'm like, man, you know what? Este va a ser el título del nuevo.
Yeah.
And then, but it was just saying like I'm anti-establishment. It's not like nothing towards Christians or whatever. It was just like the book. The book's not really about that. It was just kind of anti-establishment. And it's not like if it was satanic or nothing,
Yeah, yeah.
but
It's
but
it's
people took it that way because they've never read these books and they don't get it. But I ran with it, and I came out with that one. And I think that one set the tone. Este güey le vale verga. He's está cagando el palo.
he's on the
He's
fucking run.
wilding out. He's
He's
on the
well out. He's
run,
the fucking run.
and
Yeah.
he's telling these fools come and get me,
And he's
and
dropping albums
yeah, dropping
down the
albums.
road.
Y I just even though like a lot of those albums, there's a lot of songs that are sad. That's like a lot of songs. That's like let's just say 80 albums, 800 songs. Those songs is a roller coaster ride. I songs on the I miss my family. There's songs where I'm fucking angry. There's songs where I'm blaming everybody for shit I got myself into. There's songs where I don't care anymore. There's songs where I'm like I'm you could tell I'm like into this new discovered spirituality and I'm going into I've always been, in the music on the dark side.
Yeah.
Maybe because where I grew up at in Los Angeles, the drug abuse that surrounded me, and
It's a dark environment.
it's
It's
a
like a
dark
dark.
environment. So I've always been in that. But now it's dark with spirituality. And people are tripping on that shit too. And they're eating it up. And that was another thing I was going through. So I started putting it in the music and they, I wonder when because I always talk to fans. I run into fans from everywhere. I just ran into some fans from Copenhagen when I was in Barcelona,
Yeah.
and these fools knew everything about me when I was here. You know?
I've met people that are fans of you that saw you on the podcast and they talked to me about it's like a Where's Waldo aspect of your albums because they were like, where the fuck is this guy? And
Yeah,
that where people would listen to that music to try and figure out
yeah,
where you
yeah,
could be, maybe, or if you were speaking to them somehow through the music, and people were really into that for like a long while, not just here, but like this, you were on that internet cusp of like being able to cast that out. So
yeah.
like people in Europe,
But you know
people,
what? Some people were figuring out because I had one of my bros that was doing live, right? So there was a time, several times he had a cell phone, and I had a cell phone. So I would call into the prison, he's doing life in prison. I would call him up. He would tell me what like his atmosphere, which was brutal too, it was a brutal atmosphere in there.
yeah,
And I'm telling him my atmosphere, and he's just like the same thing. And then he tells me que un día me dice, hey, fool, be careful. So that he's on the yard, right? On the prison yard, y que le llega un homie de San Diego y le da un papelito con un teléfono y le dice, hey, dile a tu carnal que le marque a mi mamá. Mi mamá ahí está y quiere chambear con él. So,
you're like, oh fuck, yeah,
yeah, I was like, oh shit, I'm doing too much. So when that would happen, I'd pull back for a little bit, but me llegaba un batch de beats. I hear the beat and I'll be like, man, that's me right now.
yeah.
That's how I feel. And the song would just like magically appear, you know?
It's not magic. It's like you're going through some shit. I've I've done hallucinogenics,
Yeah.
for like therapy to try to figure shit out.
Yeah.
But realistically, my most powerful altered states that I've ever been through have been through stress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like when you're stressed the fuck out, you see shit.
Yeah, yeah. You're hearing shit.
You're
You
hearing, you're speaking to who, like, I don't know,
and
like,
it's not only dangerous for yourself, it's dangerous for anyone around you because you're so stressed out, you could act out at any second, you know?
yeah,
The flight or fight will kick in, but you're so stressed out, you could even make a wrong decision
yeah,
out of nowhere thinking something else, you know?
the compulsion aspect of it. You might like, I'm gonna go here, fuck it. I'm not gonna measure risk, or I measure risk too much, and I don't go out, and I get depressed.
Man, you
It's
know
like this
what?
fucking cycle.
There was a time where like yo tenía uno de mis santos en la casa, tenía como Echu, Ogun, Ochosi, ahí los tenía, estaban como por la puerta, entrando a mi casa.
Your saints are, for people that don't know.
Son Yoruban, like by way of like Nigeria and
So in Tijuana,
Lukumi.
we have a very unique mixture of Afro Caribbean
Yeah,
spirituality.
yeah,
Um, and like all spiritual practices, everybody claims to own the right one,
yeah,
or
yeah,
like this
yeah,
is the authentic one. But like when you were here, it's early 2000s, Tijuana was going through this spiritual explosion.
yeah. It
Like
was.
everybody was into something. The politicians were into Santeria or Espiritismo.
Everything.
You would see
I s-
the Botanicas uh,
popping up everywhere.
popping up everywhere, and then you would see people kind of like the first time I ever saw a prenda,
Yeah,
like an actual prenda, and a prenda is like a cauldron
yeah.
where
It's like a microcosm. You put something from everything, and there's a
yeah,
lot of
I didn't know what it was until era cubano, this Cuban guy. It's
yeah,
like here in El Centro, the first time I ever saw one. He's like Palo Monte. It was
yeah,
his spiritual practice. So he
yeah.
had this gi-
Caldero.
yeah, he had this giant cauldron there, I'd experienced santeros and santeria through like I had an ex girlfriend who was like a santera, and that wasn't palo. That was like that's a
Yeah, yeah,
completely different thing.
yeah,
They were like tapping into something else, and when I went there, I remember just peeking into the cauldron and seeing the top of a skull, just like about that much of it, just
yeah, yeah,
looking out. I was like, "Ay, cabrón."
yeah, yeah. That was first time I seen one was the same shit. I was like, what is that? Y luego, pues yo lo miré y estaba todo bañado de sangre, todo bañado de sangre. And then, you know how blood smells,
Yeah.
especially they're putting more blood on top of blood on top of blood.
The putrid part on the bottom of it, but the fresh one smells metallic. So like
Yeah.
it's like a mixture of both, like a kill floor.
And mixed with like the animal that or human that it came from. Like there's those smells, you start recognizing those smells. También me sacó de onda first time I seen one. But lo que te decía que yo tenía unos santos, right? In the
Yeah,
front of encontrabas a mi puerta. Y it got to the point where like I wouldn't even leave my house without consultándome. Me consultaba. Este, I'll pray my ass off. Like I was prayed up. Like if anybody, how the fuck you made it, man? You got to stay prayed up. Like when you're in, I mean, you don't have to, but
it
I
helps.
think it helps. And then for me,
For
I
for,
needed that.
some people believe in visualization or manifestation or whatever they believe in. Like some people pray to God,
Yeah,
but having the ability to ask for help, I guess, internally and externally, that shit helps.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's a there are no atheists in foxholes. It's true. There were no foxholes here, but everybody was betting on cada quien tenía su santo. Like
sí,
everybody
sí,
had their saint, and
sí.
you had to,
Y,
somebody.
and it's crazy because recently, like a few months ago, I went on this little DMT trip, right? So primero hago mis cosas ahí.
Did you smoke it?
Yeah. And
Okay.
boom, I blast off. y luego me meto a sudar. And then like kind of like my body was like disconnected and I was just kind of like, out of body experience. And then I heard that voice y la voice me dijo, I don't know if it was the exact words, but me dijo treat everything you do in life like a ceremony, like a ritual.
That
That I heard it clearly, man, and I was because we go about our normal day, normal lives, and we forget, and then but then I just have it like engraved now, like treat everything in life like a ceremony, like a ritual, like
yeah,
and
it is true. Like if you don't, I don't know. For me, it's like I always sleep with my wallet underneath my bed, and it's something I've always done, and it's more related to before I get to go to bed, I have to put myself on my knees and put it under so I pray. And when I wake up, I have to put myself on my knees again so I could pull that wallet out, you know?
man,
So
look,
you pray. And it's all the aspect of ritual and also just putting yourself in a position where you have to like give thanks or
yeah,
like I don't know. For me it's always been death
yeah,
because that's what I grew up with. And God. So both Catholic and Mexican Catholics are fucking pagans and shit.
yeah, yeah,
But when you're going through a stressful life and you have to go out and do shit, you have to have something with you, I guess. And for many people here in Tijuana, we had options. Like it was like, con quién te vas? Like, who are you gonna go? Gonna go to the Catholic Church? You're gonna go to Cristianos, Los Aleluyas, or you're gonna go to where a lot of the other guys that are working in your same field are going to one of these botanicas where they're tapping into something. You know,
when I was here, right, there was this time, one of several times, but había un vato que pues me quería ver muerto, and
like like a fucking death and like death
yeah,
wish enemy
and
type
and
individual.
and the thing is that el vato, he wouldn't do it himself. He was pressing other people to do it, and I knew it, and it was well, it's more that anxiety, fear, anxiety, adrenaline.
Having people actively plan to kill you, multiple people.
Yeah.
You want to talk about
Yeah,
stress?
yeah, no, this shit was so entonces me acuerdo que voy y compro un gallo, right? Compro un gallo y I come home, get all my rest of my stuff. I put them in a backpack, lo pongo en una mochila y me voy al cementerio. So voy a un cementerio y this ain't like US cemeteries nice and green that look like parks. This cemetery's like sideways.
Yeah,
Puras pinches tierra y piedras and
yeah, a lot of the cemeteries here in Tijuana were like abandoned,
they're
unkept.
unkept. Yeah, very
They're just
unkept.
like on a hillside somewhere. There's no fences. People walk in and out of them. People are in there.
So yo llego y empiezo a voy a la primera tumba y I have these little things called chamalongos y voy a una tumba y le pregunto a una tumba, hey, I come with offerings. Are you willing to work with me? No, no, no. Next thing you know, I'm like towards the end of the cemetery en una tumba con una cruz de madera. Ya ni se mira el nombre. You could tell no one's even probably been on that tumba like in 20 years. I don't know, maybe 15 years, 10 years, I don't know. But it's falling apart. Like I probably could knock the wood over with like stick,
Yeah.
like it's old and it's unkept and it's dirty and forgotten, whoever that person is. Llego a esa y le pregunto y me dice que sí. And this is because I got this situation. Esta persona me quiere quebrar, So entonces yo ya traía como un board, sigils, tenía todo preparado. Um, un trabajo ya. I had all this stuff prepared, plus that rooster. So I'm right there, and it's like, yeah, I'm down. I got a cigar in my mouth. It's lit. I got the rum out. I'm doing, and all of a sudden, someone just taps me on my shoulder, and it kind of startled me. And I look, and it was this homeless lady. Crazy, porque el cemetery estaba solo.
Yeah, there's no fences. It's like a fucking
Nah, it's just
dead, fucking alone cemetery. No security. There's just
yeah.
people just roam it
Y,
sometimes.
y, y, y la señora me dice, dame pa los tacos, dame pa comer. She like sticks her hand out. and I go in my pocket y trae un chingo de monedas de 10 pesos. And I'm like,
Just
because I'm in the middle of something. So I just go in, se los pongo en la mano, and I get back to what I'm doing. Estoy preguntando cosas ahí, like I'm doing divination and talking with this person in this tomb, you know?
yeah,
Y then I just like happen to look again, she's gone, you know? And I know that when like you know, like being like traditional, you come in a cemetery, tienes que dejar una ofrenda entrando, you know? And yeah, and I didn't. You know, I was just maybe so stressed out about everything que it just se me fue la onda. So, okay. So this whole thing was to like fuck this person's life up so much that he couldn't focus on me, you know?
yeah,
But 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 you know how it is, like before it gets better, it always gets worse. Even though I did this, it got worse. It got worse. It got like everything was coming at me at one time. So, but this thing gave me some kind of peace, and it's like that to this day. Cuando hago cosas, I be thinking like, damn, no se me va a dar, or you become a little bit pessimistic with your beliefs. Not that you lose faith, but you just your human side. Sometimes
you question
you
it.
question it, you know. Yeah, I get arrested. Speeding up, I get arrested. I get sent to the U.S. I get out. I come back as soon as I had a chance. I came right back to TJ.
Yeah,
Like like this was my home now. You know, I was here so long. Que I had to come back, you know, and I come back. And so esa cosa que yo tenía, esa madera with the sigils, con las firmas, las patipembas, whatever you want to call them, yo lo tenía en mi casa. Atrás de mi casa yo tenía un like a little place where I had like it was like a closet that I
yeah.
had built where I had my prenda and
Your friend, there's like a
my enganga.
your nganga cauldron where you
Yeah.
that's where you
So I get back and I've been gone like over a year and a half, you know, going closer to 2 years because I couldn't come back the day I got out. It took me a few months to get documentation to be able to cross back and forth. So entonces I'm here y empiezo a limpiar. Abro, está todo lleno de telarañas. You know, vengo a like to feed it, to like,
awaken it.
yeah, like to come back like I said I would, you know, and give it, dale de tomar, give it some rum, give it some tobacco, give it some blood, give it some everything, you know, and then clean everything out, you know, light some candles, light it up like this, just like this. So ritual, everything's a ceremony, things a ritual. And me acuerdo que saco es where I had the whole thing and I look at it and I tell my boy's right there with me. He's the witness. You guys could ask him. Se lo enseño y la look at this shit, fool. Man, I'm done. I'm done wasting my time on this person. Boom. And I throw it in a black trash bag. Tie it up, go throw a step. I gotta go. Tengo que cruzar. Y it was a special day for me. That day, important day. My wife had made reservations for dinner. Y entonces I head towards the line. Me baño en chinga. I head towards the line. You know the line. Pinche, you can be there. That day was about an hour. But while I'm there waiting, me empezó a enfermar. Start feeling sick. I even opened the door and threw up a little bit out of nowhere. Just felt sick. No me sentí bien. I got a fever. I'm perspiring. Whatever. I missed the dinner because San Diego traffic, Irvine traffic, LA traffic. It just threw everything. I missed it. Y ya the next day, estoy en un lugar and I had to go to a meeting. Y está this actress was right there and her spiritual advisor was there. Y la señora me pregunta, how did you survive in Mexico? And I tell her my quote is that the Sun Tzu, that if you're patient long enough, you'll see all your enemies float up the river dead. So you got to be strategic with that. Sometimes me tenía que aguantar.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there's fools that just have power and they'll flex on you, and you know that you could kill them, you know that you could fuck them up, you know you can, but you can't do nothing sometimes because there's
It's not
just too much at stake. You gotta wait for the right time, you know. This ain't child's play. This is grown man shit. So entonces le digo eso y a la same time me llega un texto, marca, ASAP. Y ya voy, marco, me salgo a la balcony y marco y hey, what's up? Oh, aquel ya se fue. I'm like, ¿cuál? Aquel. ¿Cuál? And I'm just trying to figure, we're talking in code,
Yeah,
trying to, oh, okay, aquel. And I'm like, ¿para dónde? No, pues ya se fue de donde nunca regresan. Oh, shit. It kind of like threw me off a little bit because this is a person that want to hurt me, want to hurt my daughter, want to hurt like the little that I had that I love, you know? So, and it's crazy because the minute I threw that away and said, I'm done,
it was done.
it was done,
It
you
was
know?
done.
And who knows? Maybe if I would have left it there, it could have probably kept them going, kept them alive. You know, I don't know. Maybe I was saving them, you know? But the minute I was done, it was done.
And the way, like the whole story, even
Yeah.
from the start where you're there and this lady shows up and asks you for money.
To eat, dame pa los tacos. Quiero comer.
Like, who's that? Like, I don't know. Like I've, some people, will say that you look at or you see patterns and shit in your life and you're trying
Yeah,
to
yeah.
make
There's
sense of.
signs and everything. That was a
I don't
sign, you know?
that's a it's a powerful sign. Somebody showing up in a place where there's nobody
Nobody tapping me on my shoulder
and
like
asking you if you hadn't given her anything and you just yeah, vete a la verga.
maybe it would have turned out different. And you know what? I remember when she asked me because it startled me. I didn't jump or nothing, but I look at her because it was this shoulder. I remember
Yeah,
she touched this shoulder. I don't know if that means anything. She tapped my right shoulder. I look at her and then dame pa los tacos, quiero comer. And I didn't even like. I don't remember hesitating. I just remember going in my pocket y le di un montón de puros de 10 pesos, a gang of them. I could have gave her like maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10. Who knows what the number was? Maybe that was significant too, you know. And
it's all a ritual.
yeah, and then when it was all done, it was crazy porque también that happened. And even though this person wanted to hurt me, de todo modo le prendió una vela, some guidance on his path, wherever,
Yeah,
where,
he's an enemy, but he's still that's another aspect of it.
yeah, he was an enemy, but still, I live on a and I got that from a guy that I met in TJ that he told me every time he killed one of his enemies or killed anybody, he lit a candle for him, you know?
Una
And that just
veladora.
shit it just stayed with me.
It's funny. Like when one of the first jobs I ever did was cutting people off a bridge,
Yeah.
and like a lot of this symbolism with the candles and stuff like that is from there. It's like I would always carry a candle in my backpack. Si veías un muertito, you would leave him a candle. This is like bad form not to.
Yeah.
So you always just leave him something there. Um, or even if it's like you found him on a roadside, you would leave a marker there for his family. So you can when you tell his family like, "Hey, we found him here." So they would go back, and that's why in Mexico it's very common to see crosses on the roadside
Yeah.
or just on any like, it happens in the US too when there's little memorials that pop up on the roadside where somebody just goes. Like we would do that because it's I don't know, it's bad form. It's just bad form. Even if he is an enemy, even if he was somebody who was actively trying to get us, you'd have to leave something. A candle, una veladora.
Yeah, and I just moved on after that, but those are the types of things that normal TJ life,
Yeah. The
that
the abnormal TJ life, this concept of power here, like it's very prevalent here where people are trying to achieve power, be it on the ground through criminal culture, trying to figure out their way up into the power structure of the cartels or whatever, or political power, or people who are in the government and want to achieve some sort of power. Pero todos esos cabrones, all of them will come eventually to Botanica,
yeah,
a bruja, or they will show up at the altar of Juan Soldado and like leave an offering there. Like
Man,
There's
I've met
something about Tijuana that just has that
you know what?
vibe.
I've met some interesting people from all walks of lives at Botanicas here in the city.
It's basically the botanicas are where some of these spiritual practitioners.
By their like tools, tools of the trade, and they te leen las cartas. There's always like a back door,
Yeah,
and once you go back door, yeah, I remember one of my first ones I went to. Uh, Entro y miro un político from the news, and it kind of tripped me out. And
yeah.
él tenía sus escoltas, y luego otro vato de la maña con his escoltas, and then regular people, and then this guy's a doctor, este güey es un licenciado, este güey es un straight malandro, me, un pinche fugitivo, like, we're in a sacred space, and I'm just like, okay, I like the get down.
None of that matters
Nah,
here.
it doesn't matter, and me walking out hoping that would work for me later. Like, man, maybe they see me, man, cut me some slack or whatever, give me a free pass. But
It depends, Like, for me, it was like I grew up around Santa Muerte, and it was like in my family though. But it wasn't like you see it now, like where people you would like use it
yeah, yeah,
kill. Like, hey, voy a ir a matar a
yeah,
este cabrón. Like, cuídame. Like, I'm gonna go kill that fucker. Like, fucking protect me. Back then, it was old ladies carrying a Virgin of la Santa Muerte behind Jesus during the procession. You would have Jesus, the recreation of the crucifixion, and you would have like an old lady carrying like death behind Jesus because the symbolism was that Jesus defeats death at the end. So you have, hey, thank you for getting defeated,
man.
or for allowing Jesus to come back to life or something like that. It was the
Hey,
whole thing. But that got completely twisted. When I was working, you would see guys wearing around these the black Santa Muerte necklaces, and it was like the weirdest part for me was like all the way at the top. Luna, the guy that is
yeah,
cartel,
yeah,
the guy who used to be the head of la secretaria. Like
yeah,
this guy was the top police officer of Mexico.
yeah,
That guy had a Santa Muerte altar in his fucking office.
yeah. And you telling me that, like me, it's just like, oh yeah, sure, of course,
Yeah,
you
but
know.
like
But,
people didn't. People would be
yeah.
like,
Oh shit.
"Holy,
Te was
why is this guy?
satánico. Yeah.
Yeah, why does this guy have a giant death altar in his office?" I think I think the main thing is the main thing when you would look at all these kind of symbolisms and stuff like that is the people that are desperate, people that want some sort of intermediary. Like it's not, I can't go to God because God's not going to be cool with me being a
Yeah.
sicario.
Smoking this fool.
So like, who do I talk to? And it was always finding ways around that. So you would go to Los Santos, or you go build a relationship with your muerto, which is
Yeah.
another. That's the route that you
Yeah.
went through, or you would have a little altar to death in the corner of your room or hotel or wherever you were, like it's like ask a
It's
favor. But
crazy because earlier this year I was in Munich, Germany, right?
yeah,
Me and my wife went to Austria and to Germany. There was a dude that que he follows my page, and his like his little, his profile pic and his little thing, something Santa Muerte, right? So I'm in Germany, trying to get some like herbal inspirational
yeah,
healing.
yeah,
And then so I'm here, what's up? And I start meeting like fans, like, I met this dude in Munich, era de Sardinia, but he was a Italian cook in Munich. And then, they brought gifts. And then this guy, he this the guy with the Santa Merte logo, he messages me and he's just like, I have a gift for you. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know what? I brought gifts to give too. So I brought some. I don't press CDs no more, but I have pressed some CDs. I'm like, I'm gonna give this guy a CD that no one in the US has heard yet.
yeah.
I'll give these guys like the
I'd be
first.
into that. It's cool.
So I meet up with this dude. Me and my wife meet up with him, at this outside this karaoke bar. By the way, this karaoke bar was lit. It was, y llega el vato y es un alemán alto, cara cuadrada, parecía un soldado de allá de aquellos tiempos. Like, he just, that's his look, you know? And then he hands me this box, this wooden box about this big. So whoever's watching, about this big, and it has a bow on it. He's like, open it. So I unwrap it. I'm like, man, what the fuck is this? And I had some drinks in me already. And the dude, he's a machinist. That's what he does. I open it, y es una Santa Muerte. And I'm like, what? And it's like beautiful. Like la tengo una caja because I'm waiting like to put my office up. I'm gonna put it in a nice place, you know?
Yeah.
I'm saving all these, collecting all these things. And then I told him how you came across this. And I'm not sure if he said through like a lowrider event or person exhibition that went there, and he met this dude like 10 years back, 12 years back, that introduced him to it. The dude became, like, that's him now, La Santa Muerte. And he blessed me with one. So it was just eye opening, que,
It's everywhere. It's traveled so much
yeah,
over the last. I mean, the first time it was public, like the veneration of death in Mexico went public in the year 2000. Before that, it was all
yeah,
shh,
yeah.
like behind, like I have a Virgin Mary picture, and behind it there's a Santa Muerte prayer written on it
Crazy.
because that's how because you couldn't do that in the open here,
Yeah.
so you'd have to have ways of hiding it. And then the year 2000 when uh, happened, and a lady in Mexico City who's a friend of mine, Doña Queta, she had venerated that like behind the scenes her whole life, and she just said, "Well, if you do me this favor, Santa, I will put your altar facing the street so people could see you." Was her?
And everybody goes there now.
It
People
is. It
travel
is.
the world to that spot.
It's amazing. If
It's crazy, huh?
if anybody wants to go there, Tepito, just be careful because it's a spicy place.
Yeah, yeah.
I went down there and did a security conference thing, and they gave me like two dudes to like watch my back while I was down there because they thought I was American. Like, hey, soy mexicano, me vale vergas, yo me voy solo. No,
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you two security guys. And they were like, "Where are we going?" At Tepito. And they were like, what for? What are we going to do at Tepito? Pedo, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
As soon as we got there, like they were on us. They were whistling and shit like that. Like they were following us. As soon as we got to the Niñaqueta's place, she was like, "Hi." And it
Yeah.
was like cool. But because we were there for that, if we were there for that, we would get on our ass kicked probably. But it's been such a weird phenomenon to see something that was hidden for so long now being so open in public. I mean, I went to Connecticut once, and in Connecticut, there's like a Santa Muerte altar out there, like out of all fucking
Crazy.
places in Connecticut.
Damn.
Um, it's wild. When we kind of hung out again for the first time after our tumultuous past, I went outside your house and you had like
Sigil.
I saw the sigils again
Yeah.
and and your prendas. Um, where did you learn that? Like
I
it's
learned it here in the city.
because every now and then like I've seen you post about it, and it's a very specific part of who you are. Like even in like I remember when I was watching the tax collector, I was like, "The cabrón." Like that's you. That's
Yeah.
part of who you are. And there's a lot of online people giving their opinions about what is and what isn't,
Yeah, yeah.
but you not only learned about it, but you like it's part of who you
Well,
are.
I made it like I didn't make it, but like it it gave me like a little bit of hope when I had no hope. And I just needed a little bit to make it, to survive, Y and I like the mechanics of it. It made sense. I'm reading, I'm understanding, and I came across like you could call them teachers that I learned up to this point. I learned all this from this point Then I moved on. I met another person, Cubanos, Mexicanos, Cubanos. And then,
because Paulo has been in Mexico for since the late 70s, early 80s. I
yeah,
think that there was some dark stuff that
yeah,
happened around it,
yeah,
like the whole narco satanico stuff
yep,
that went
yep.
on in the early 90s, I think, uh, where an American was taken and put into
Aprende.
a prenda, which is it's very it's like when we saw that on the news, like that shit was already kind of like
It's crazy
happening.
because I met a dude like that here, right? So this dude was from Mexico City. I met him at the Botanica.
That's a lot. A lot of them were like when you like to mention this. Some of them are Cuban. Some of the people that are here practicing and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
but a lot of them were Mexican that had been practicing for a long time in El DF, in the
yeah,
Mexico City, and then they came out here.
yeah.
Different types of people,
They
como
are.
like a darker,
Yeah, they are. So
darker,
this dude, okay, so yo llego, ¿verdad? Tienen un toque, like ceremony. It's almost like a party.
like drums,
They're
music.
drumming and people are like, they're mounted, right? But I don't know this dude yet.
Mounted is when
Se les mete como el
they
espíritus.
get into these frenzies, like like a ghost will, a spirit will come into them,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they'll act out whatever deity they are.
Yeah.
It's like a frenzy though.
Y llego y estás this dude from Mexico City right there. I don't know him yet. They haven't introduced him to me. But I'm there and I'm just like, this one I'm new to it. I'm just like, damn, what the fuck? Like fools are having like convulsions, standing up, and but this dude was different. It's the way his eyes were rolled back white, right? And he was like I don't know, this fool was double jointed or what. His body was just contorted, right? And he was doing the exorcist, like moving her, when she goes
Yeah,
up the
spider
stairs.
walk.
Yeah, he's doing that. And I ain't gonna lie, that shit startled me. Like lo miro al way, and I'm like, man, no mames, esta madre, what am I getting myself into? Can I handle this? What is this shit? And I'm just watching them and I'm like, man, all right. I seen other shit, but this is like some supernatural shit.
Yeah,
Y ya, then later weeks go by, whatever. I meet the dude and he's well versed. He's well versed in Santeria and Palo Mayombe. He was a like super well versed in Palo Mayombe. So in Santeria, he was I'm not sure if he was a Freemason, but he was kind of involved with that too. He had a lot of knowledge, vast knowledge. And I was kind of impressed by it or whatever. And then I guess once when he felt comfortable, he started planting the seed in here in TJ, right? So they used to call me Siete because I had una enganga que se llama Siete Rayos. So they call me Siete for short. So he was like, "Hey Siete," he tells me, he goes, well, before he tells me this backstory how every year in in Mexico City they'd go out they'd go out and snatch up a homeless guy off the street,
yeah,
shower this fool, feed this fool, treat him like a king for 7 days.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And on the seventh day, they'll do a ceremony with him
and
and gut him
yeah,
and feed him to the prenda. And then
which is like I've heard this same thing many times.
it's like what was happening over there in Texas in the border over there on that side of Mexico.
You hear about that in Catemaco, which is like the center of all witchcraft in
Yeah,
Mexico. The whole taking somebody and treating them like well for like 7 days, and then
yeah, and
uh, it's old. It might be African, but there's like a story from the Aztec culture where somebody they would pick somebody from the town and treat him like a god for a whole year,
and
and then at
then
the end of the year,
and and you know what? And at the time that this is going on, I got a lot of problems. There's a lot of shit I'm dealing with. So he's telling me this, y la neta, it don't phase me.
yeah,
It don't phase me. Even what I seen that day, because as soon as I walked out of there, I gotta go back to reality. Like, hey, I gotta make it back to my hideout without getting pulled over, without making sure nobody followed me back to my hideout, making sure the coast is clear before I dip into my hideout.
So this whole conversation about killing a homeless person after like it was like, eh.
I was like, it kind of even almost felt like this for trying to show off or whatever. So then later, at a later time, he comes up to me and he tells me, I'm there at the Botanica and he tells me, hey, Siete, are you down to go with me to snatch up a fool? And we're gonna feed him to him in a week. And I tell him like, nah, I'm not down with that. Like, on some survival mode, like whatever I'm going through, I'm down to
Yeah,
repel anything that's coming at me like that. But that
that's senseless.
I don't there's nothing in me that like wants to feed into that. And then it kind of like took him back a little bit, like, I don't know si me estaba tratando de it was a test or whatever, but I'm like, by that time I had seen so much shit and been around so much real motherfuckers que esa madre, and then some time later I almost put hands on him one time, estaba montado. It was just acting up, and I was having a bad day. It was just, I'm a Libra. I'm just like real chill and balanced, and but this day I had a bad day. And on that bad day, I even went through a ceremony that was like maybe like 12 hours long.
Fuck.
So I was like kind of like tired. You're so hungry that you're not hungry no more. You're just and I'm seeing this dude, and I just felt like he was just acting unjust with everybody and threatening people, and I don't know,
He was on a power trip.
yeah, he was on a power trip. And then and I snapped on him, and then everybody was like protecting him, like, no, what are you doing? He's a god. And I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
no, not
No.
here. Or if he is, I am too. And this is the war of the gods. And then I had another run in with him one time. I was there at the Botanica, and him and some other dudes were acting up. So I go back to my Los Angeles juvenile hall days. I start acting like a bully and getting in their faces and acting up and like testing them to see like like I had it with them too. I was already phasing out of them into like my own. I was learning on my own behind their
Yeah.
back, and and I went over there and they were just kind of like giving me ultimatums. Like that at that point I knew it was a cult,
Yeah.
and I'm not I'm
You're
not
not you're not
I'm
into like
not
being controlled
I'm
in
not
that
being
way.
yeah, I'm not trying to be controlled by nobody, especially someone that I know is like physically weaker than me and mentally weaker, and I'm not having it, and so we're like it's almost like like face offs and this and that, and then I go home, and I swear I go into my house. As soon as I go into my house, boom, all my collares, they snap, all of them.
Fuck.
They all snap, and it startles the fuck out of me. I'm like, prendo la luz, and the shit cracks on me. Light bulb and collares. So I'm like, oh shit. I go straight to the prenda, empiezo a consultar. That's them. Yup, that's them. I get everything, I put it in a bag y me voy para la playa. Me limpio en la playa. I jump in the ocean and I give the stuff to the ocean.
Everything from them.
Se fue todo. And then, I just, I always remember that the way it happened. That like I just this and now this, and it's like spiritual warfare and TJ. In the middle of real warfare.
What happened to those fuckers?
Man, one of them got smoked. The other one almost got smoked. So I know he's probably scared straight. That dude, I don't know. I don't know what happened to these people. Like, and then then another one died for just being unhealthy. These are a lot of these people. These, not all of them, but a lot of these, and not even a lot of them. Just this batch of them was a very unhealthy group. I always been into fitness. Like just like working out and like trying to stay fit. By mind, body, and soul. Because I'm going. You gotta be you gotta be on point. Y ellos no. Yo siempre.
They would speak about the warrior aspect of shit, but they would fucking act like
Nah,
no
that's what
era,
I'm saying.
no
They were
era.
weak. They were like, and I mean, there's always someone bigger and badder than everybody, but
You told me about one of them, how he ended up,
yeah,
like that he was the guy that ended up with the prenda,
yeah, yeah. They died on top of their own stuff.
which is
That one of them got
like
smoked.
speaking of like symbology and like the occult and stuff like that. Again, like we're not trying to
The
make a case for any of this being real or not.
Yeah,
You could make up your own mind,
yeah.
but
Es que ellos look like they were like almost. It's because it happened to me. You become bloodthirsty at some point. You
yeah.
just want to start giving your prenda starts working for you, and you're feeding it blood and blood and blood and blood.
You see some of these people who are practitioners of a high level that start feeding it your prenda or your 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 space,
Yeah,
and they start getting into these frenzies. And some of them who work in like a life that you lived, I mean, you're seeing the effects of it keeping you alive and safe. Or you're like,
yeah,
let me keep going.
yeah.
Uh,
But
and
these people, the way I seen them, it's almost like their deities controlled them because they were constantly like ripping people off and tricking and
nothing
lying and
was
stealing
enough. Nothing was
to
enough.
feed that prenda, to
Yeah,
feed it, and
it's almost like it's like a well, the belief is that it does reside. There's something residing in it, but like depending on what that is and how how you treat it, that's how. So these guys are ripping people off, fuckery. When I say ripping people off, I mean people are showing up with them who are high level dudes probably. And like, hey, here's money. I need to you guys to get rid of whatever spiritual problem they have. And they're like,
and
ah,
then and since me being around, I'm starting to see things. They're getting some are getting paid in dope, and I'm like, oh shit, I, I mean, I'm not gonna lie that I didn't know that it was a
yeah,
grimy business from the beginning,
yeah.
and grimy people were involved in this. But then at some point, honestly, pues I just wanted to survive and kind of have a little bit of peace. So when I'm seeing like, hey, but like I'm seeing like, but you're good. Why you want more? Like the,
So
I recognize it like greed or whatever. Yes, so whatever they want, like they went up in there, warned them. El vato cayó ahí arriba de sus cosas, and I've heard that happen before, that
he
happened in Mexico City with one of the big, like one of this famous babalao. He died on top of his stuff,
uh, they went there, shot him.
gave him flowers. They tricked him like, hey, I got flowers for your stuff. He lets them in, and then they put the flowers down and
They shoot him, and he ends up on
top
top
of him,
of the
and
cauldron,
his blood, yeah,
feeding it.
feeding the
It's
santos.
fucking wild.
So, you know, um, yeah, it's just kind of tragic and you know what? And even when I was in Palo, like getting into that dark space, because I started getting into that dark space where like, because you become a sniper, you're like, you actually make a list. All these people right here are a problem to my life. Let's get them one by one. And then at that point is when I met a friend, right? I met this person and he was just like, yo, bro, you got bags under your eyes. Like you need to come to the sweat lodge. You need to come to Caile Temazcal con nosotros. So I had sweated once before at that point
Yeah.
in the US. And then so I go to the Temazcal with them and that's when everything changed for me, I think, because that balanced me out.
Yeah,
You know,
it was a lot of it was black
yeah,
warfare.
yeah.
Fuck those people. Let me see how
Yeah, that's all I thought
it
about. But
it's
I
a
go to the Temazcal, and then all my demons come out in that Temazcal. They're in there floating with me, and for those that been in there, it gets hot, and
you want to leave, but you can't. You
your
have to be.
mind starts playing tricks on you, and y but when you finally make it out, you feel that rebirth because that's what it is. That's what it symbolizes. You're going back into the Mother Earth, into her womb,
womb. Yeah.
You come out the womb and you feel reborn. That first one, man, it was so hard for me. It was hard, but then that became something where I would just like sweating like once a month, or like we just
It
periodically started sweating, and that kind of like
balance you out.
yeah, it kind of like took a little bit of the weight off my shoulders, but and there was times where I I went in there and it was hard on me because I was just going through shit, and sometimes I was in there like, you know, it's cool, I got this.
Yeah.
Pero that became another a pivotal point when I started sweating with the brothers, and we would sweat, and I don't know, it was like a little community and like a little brotherhood, and we would sweat, and then we would break bread afterwards, eat, and it was just like, okay, we're out of here.
Yeah.
It happened, we did it, and then boom, everybody
Yeah. It's
fuga.
essential though.
Yeah.
It's essential. Like connecting with people, being alone
And
in that
and then I was
is
sweating with people that came from my world.
yeah.
And these are all dudes that had took the spiritual path. Every single one of them is a dangerous dude. Can be, will be, if they have to be. But now they were on a different the red road. That's what they call the red path, the red road. And so it was cool to like connect with them like that. And especially in that environment that. I don't know, it's just was a different frequency. It
Yeah.
put me on a different frequency, that I needed to be on. It came like at the right place at the right time. De hecho, I don't know if it was a month or 2 weeks before I got busted. I was all in my head, but I didn't know. I'm thinking I'm gonna turn myself in. They're watching me, following me. I don't know nothing.
Yeah.
I feel it, but I don't have it for certain. They're like, "We're gonna run a sweat for you so you could get your mind at ease." And that was one of my hardest sweats because I didn't get my mind at ease. I just had so much
Anxiety going on. Yeah.
anxiety going on, and I knew the separation between me and my daughter was coming. And that was the hardest, I think.
Yeah.
I think that was the hardest that it was coming. I didn't know how to tell her. Even though it's a little kid, might think like, man, I'll tell a little kid anything, but this is another being
It's a sacrifice and
that's
it's
been
going
riding with me my whole future, not my whole
yeah.
but just when she came along, she's born in 2008. So, and she was with me, and then when I had her, I was trying to be good, but now all my enemies came back from the cut. So it's like it was but I was just willing to die defending what I love at that point.
It had to happen that way.
Yeah.
There's no like if you think about it, there's no other way it could have happened that it would put you where you are now, which is it's wild that you don't know at the moment. Like you're
No,
avoiding it. You're fucking
no.
avoiding it. You don't want to fucking go through it.
Yeah. And then and then even me being incarcerated, right? I'm incarcerated, even though I'm in there, but my mind was here in Tijuana. I would think about my prenda, like I would talk to it from my bunk, my bed in this jail. I would like
Yeah.
reach out and just be like, "Hey man, get me the fuck out of here." And then I had I had a friend, Santero. He's a Santero priest. He's an Oba. Every time I went to court, before I went to court, they did a ceremony for me. He really looked out for me. And so I had that, and then there was this one palero that was also doing things for me. Like, and none of these people ever charged, like, for not even for animals, for nothing. They were just doing it out of their heart to help me. And then I had my Jewish attorney and all these things. Like, I
It
don't
just aligned.
it it was written that way, I think, the
Yeah.
way it happened, the way you know,
For me it's always when people ask me about the divine and how I experience the divine presents itself in luck, alignment, and the bending of probability.
yeah,
Like when you see that shit or experience that shit in your life, you're like, ah,
yeah,
this is where it is. That lady coming up to you in the cemetery,
yeah, yeah. That was
that moment where the necklace broke,
snapped on me.
um, and also just the fact that none of those bullets, knives, none of those hit you. Like, you think about it in the past, like, everybody tried, and somehow and some people take that as a ego thing, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
never do.
Nah.
I never do. Like, for me, like, I remember having these moments of where, like, this shit is pretty insane. When I was in the US and I just gone through my immigration process, I had a moment where I was offered a contracting gig back in Mexico. Like, "Hey, come back and work again." Um, and I was thinking about it. It was like I just been I was just about to go back on the Joe Rogan podcast for the second time, but I just couldn't figure out a way to make a living off what I was doing yet, and I was going to go come back. I was gonna get an job offer, and then my kid was holding on to this big heavy metal door that I installed in one of my pads to keep it, Chapo level fucking anti fucking breaking down this fucking door.
Yeah.
She was holding on to it as it was about to snap closed. And I put my hand in there and it's chopped the tip of my trigger finger off.
Oh, crazy.
My specific trigger finger, which I
Yeah.
was going to be needed for what I was going to be working on down here. And that just like, no, but basically, whatever it is out there said, this is not for you. Like, go back and
Yeah,
like
it's crazy how things like
stop you.
some people they don't like. I never believed in nothing until I got here. Then I
Yeah.
seen things and the way things turn out and you know,
Tijuana has that aspect to
the
it. It's
way like it's just strange, you know.
Tijuana surreal as fuck. And like if you wanna encounter something supernatural, Tijuana is always like a place for that, I think. Like at least for me it has been. The the surviving aspect of it. And I remember being at your space, like because I've been there before under different conditions, and when we were talking, just realizing how both of us basically found something in that realm of spirituality
Yeah,
and others didn't find that and others are dead or not here. So something about that does have at
yeah,
least a power of a sort.
I wanted to take this opportunity to thank each and every one of our Patreon members for their generous support. It's the only way we can bring some of these amazing people behind the microphone and have some of these amazing Midnight of the Soul conversations for you guys. If you're not already a part of the Patreon community, please consider joining us. We have our giant online training catalog for you guys to have access to, as well as some exclusive Sneak Reaper Industries merch drops for you guys at the Dead Drop tier. I would also like to thank the company Sneak Reaper Industries, one of our main supporters, and a company that provides some of the most amazing urbanware, survival specific, and cutlery out there. Your support not only makes this show possible, but also supports some of the charities that we run, including the Fighter's Kitchen out of Puerto Escondido, where we're supporting some up and coming fighters under the tutelage of Eddie Farrell. Thank you for your support, and again, please consider joining us on the Patreon. And now back to the show.
I was scrolling online and then I had to like do a double take. It's you in this cop uniform with this like I was like, ah cabrón, like is that you were doing this movie somewhere and you had this cop uniform on, and I've had a few moments like that when I've known each other for a while before the Hollywood aspect of you. And I think the first time I saw you was on the tax collector movie where you were. And for people that I posted a clip of it recently, and I posted it on my Instagram account, and I think probably not many people have my experience with you, where we, here in Tijuana, and then you're out there being like in front of a camera. But that's you though, like in that movie, in the tax collector movie, when you are sitting in front of these two American-based gangsters, telling them what is about to happen to like, that was you. Like you weren't that's you're acting, but I mean, that's you. That was you, I would
Yeah.
say. What how did you find yourself in the acting game? Like out of all of it, how did you find yourself
Man,
there?
it's weird because when I would be right here, when I was here in TJ, right? I'm in my house, my casa de seguridad, whatever. And you know what I would do a lot was I would walk back and forth for hours, sometimes just stressed out or just shit on my mind. I would walk, they say from the kitchen to the front of the house, you know, and just talk to myself. And I always thought like, cause I would, the internet came back in and I'm seeing what everybody's doing and um and I knew that if I could get back, I would see all these actors like Mexican actors or just Latino actors in general or just actors, and I was like, if I could get back, I could do this shit. I could fuck with them. I know I can. And I was just like speaking it into existence, without knowing that I was really gonna do it. And because this is a dark times for me, but
You're so fucking far away from that reality, but
yeah,
you're thinking about where you would want to end up, and
yeah,
that's what Hollywood is one of the things you're thinking.
yeah. I'm thinking that, and then
Who are you seeing that is in Hollywood that is like comparable to you or
I mean, I was just seeing different roles, and I was just like, no one's played the role that I have in my head to play.
yeah.
No one's. I want to be the first one to bring that role, and I just from the tax collector, I went to that, and then before the tax collector, I did no, I did tax collector, then I did deputy, and in deputy, I got to wear a sheriff's where I escape out the jail.
Yeah.
So I wore that sheriff's
Sure.
outfit,
Yeah.
and it was strange because once I put it on, I felt that Superman, like,
Yeah.
hey, wait a minute, I'm a fucking sheriff, like
It does something.
it does something, right?
You wear that badge.
And
It's
then I seen a
beautiful.
real sheriff that because they have them on the set, they're like consultants or tech advisors, like looking at me like not liking it, like motherfucker.
Why do you wear that?
What the fuck's who's wearing it and fucking around, walking around the jail and just like he
It's
he
surreal. It's surreal. I
yeah,
mean, when I remember again this tax collector movie, I think was you want to talk about serendipity and just how things line up. I mean, you were uh, our friend David Ayer just made that movie at a very complex time. This is like during COVID and shit like that. It was that
like right before.
right before
Yeah.
all that shit happened. Uh, I remember when he was going through it, I was like looking at this and I was like, it's something that I've predicted might happen one day, where this Jalisco cartel might show up in the US and start fucking trying to make a name for itself or trying to put a flag there. And we just had the arrest of a
Yeah.
new generation cartel
In Riverside.
high level guy who was married to
The
El-
the daughter.
the daughter of the head of the new generation cartel who faked his death, and now he's living it up in Riverside, California, out of all places.
Crazy.
So in a lot of ways, this piece of fiction was kind of like David's always kind of reading the newspaper and kind of like
Art
reading.
imitates life and then life starts
But
becoming art.
he out of a lot of the people that are in Hollywood writing, he always has like
He's tapped in.
he's tapped in. He's tapped in.
And so, I wore it there, but now I went to Colombia to do this movie called Dominique. And then I remember they were like, you're gonna be a Colombian cop. And the director, the producer pitched me for the role.
Yeah.
The director didn't think I was the guy for the role until I met him. Then we went in this Mexican restaurant, Granada Hills, comimos, we're talking. He kind of interviewed me. And then, okay, we're gonna go to Colombia. And this is post COVID because I still had to take the little COVID card.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I show up in Colombia y Colombia, man, se me hizo como me okay, Bogota, the capital, is like TJ. I'm driving through Bogota and I'm like, oh, that shit looks like Otay. It felt like I was in Otay in some parts, you know,
Traffic,
and then some,
everybody's building
yeah,
the way they want.
some is like Mexico City, some is, you know, I recognize, even though I never been there, I recognize Bogota. And then when we were actual shooting this town called Chia, well, we shot in different places, but we're shooting this one town called Chia. It reminded me when I first got to Mexico and I went to Jalisco and I was just like walking, you know, and these are like towns that are like 70,000 as a population. So you
Green.
green and you know what this looks like, right? So I'm in Colombia walking around and it just took me back to when my first month of being a fugitive. Like I'm walking and I'm just like checking shit out, like and I always go back to my same shit. If I was a fugitive, could I make it here? And I was like, I could. Because Colombian food, I could do it.
You could do
At
Colombian
first,
food,
I
yeah.
could do Colombian food. De primero, it took me a little, like, took me like una week to find what I like and to ask for it the way I like it, you know?
So where you're out there filming this movie, in your mind, you're like, "Let me adapt my whole like, urban
Yeah, yeah,
survival
yeah.
shit."
Yeah, no, I do that everywhere. I don't think nunca se me va a quitar eso, yeah, forever. And I'm over there and we're training, you know, with the stunt coordinators, fight scenes and all that. Y and then before I went, todos me estaban diciendo, hey man, you gotta be careful over there in Colombia. And I'm like, man, I'm from fucking TJ. You fucking careful of what? Like, acá, you know, I'm from here. I'm from West Adams. Like, nah. And even my dad, he's like, hey, ten mucho cuidado lo que hablas allá en Colombia. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
like,
It has a mystique. It has a
yeah.
mystique to it.
But then when I get there, I don't feel nothing. I don't feel anything. I don't feel anything. I remember one of the transportation guys, as soon as I got there, he asked me, "Quiere pase?" If I wanted some blow. And I was like, nah, I'm good right now, man. Thank you. And then I got asked that a lot in a lot of places, restaurants, "Quiere pase?" Well, and I'm like, nah, I'm cool. But like it's weird because like right now we're in TJ, right? I could feel that the city's just like vibrating. Like I could feel there's tension. It could be here, it could be there, but the city's alive.
Yeah.
Not that Bogota's not alive, but I didn't feel it. I felt like, all right, I got this. Y and then I looked at their cop situation. I'm like, what? Two dudes on a dirt bike. It looked just strange to me, you know, like a dude holding on to the other dude on a dirt bike or a checkpoint, and the checkpoint only has two dudes in it, the two dudes on the dirt bike.
Yeah, you can run it.
Yeah, and I'm like, nah, like I'm not comparing it, but I'm like,
It's
acaso otro pedo? Because right now we just hit that corner before we got here, and there was a checkpoint, está la militar y los municipales right around the corner right here.
yeah.
And you could tell. I seen the municipal. He wants something
Yeah.
for tonight. He
Yeah.
wants some for his after shift
It's
activities.
just a different thing.
Yeah.
Like as far as Tijuana and experiencing Tijuana and living here and also working here in the realm that you were working and I was working. Like I've been in rooms with people that have been in like war zones and Fallujah and like people that've been through like horrible shit. And whenever you mention like where'd you get your experience? Tijuana. And they always like always
Yeah,
like turn
yeah.
over. It has a reputation. It's just different.
It's different. So, you know, well, I study them. I'm looking at the cops, you know, for the character, but man, once I put it on, and then their police is different. It's kind of all their police is like military almost,
Yeah.
right?
It's a military police. Yeah.
And so, and then I just became that role, and that first time I was there a little bit over a month. It was kind of crazy. I was like getting homesick after 3 weeks. It's like, oh man.
Just like you were homesick when you first got here. Like
No, when I got here, I was homesick, like
yeah.
suicidal, like, oh, I don't like this, you know. Y, but at the end of the day, it was a role. I had fun, and that movie just
The
came out
the the,
recently.
the wildness of you play a Colombian cop in this movie, right? Which is It's
Wild, huh?
it's fucking surreal.
Yeah.
The I guess like a question would be like the roles that you've been getting, right? They're all kind of related in a way, I
They're
guess.
like dark,
Yeah, you know,
mysterious.
mysterious, but a lot of the like I guess your first kind of appearance on the tax collector kind of like really set the tone for a lot of these, I guess,
Yeah.
because and again, I say this again, that's you in the tax collector. That was you. That's who I met, I guess. Like that was you back then. This force of nature guy, motivated, like you calm like a bomb, but like you can tell there's a fucking fire going on behind you. Uh, the whole aspect of you move when he said like, "Where's he staying at? Where is he staying at night?" Nobody knows. He's moving around. It's train
Yeah, yeah,
crashing. I was
yeah.
like, "Yeah, it's a cabrón." You probably told him to say that shit because that's what I would be doing, just fucking moving around. Um, like when you come out of that role, and I imagine that a lot of people are looking at you from that and also
Yeah.
from your past.
Yeah.
Now, are you trying actively to like look for a way out of that, or is this like let me just see what comes?
Yeah, let me just see what comes. I'm just going with the flow. Like, I've auditioned, but do acting classes, and I'm in it. It's the new craft for me, but I audition a bunch of roles, but for some reason,
That's that's
that's like, get this guy or whatever.
but like we're like you're somos Mexicanos. Like we
See.
have that in us, and it's in Hollywood. Like it's rare to see ourselves in roles that are not that, I guess. Like right now, the whole aspect of being Latino, like there's a few outliers. Maybe there's like a space Mexican, is it Diego Luna who's in Star
On
Wars?
Rogue One, yeah,
Yeah, the but that's the only space Mexican apparently.
yeah.
When they came out with his action figure, he had a grappling hook backpack with a rope on it, and I thought that was like racist because what's that for?
Está, está brincando del
If
muro para
if we
abajo, ¿verdad?
if we got El Muro, he's gonna jump the space wall. But it's like have you encountered that whole aspect of like, hey, eres Latino, eres Mexicano. These are the roles.
I mean, I want them though. Like when I see them, like cuando sale una, like I was just talking to this guy that I met on the promotional side of Dominique, Jewish dude, cool as fuck, and he's just like, because we were talking about shows, and I was like, oh man, I love that Penguin show, and I like that Tulsa King and Lioness, and I'm just like, but I need those.
Yeah,
I need those. I need to be whoever the Mexican guy is in those. I need to be that guy, because I don't know. I just feel like that I know some stuff
yeah. There's
that
no way you can fake.
yeah, I know some stuff that could help those roles,
There's no way you can fake that culture.
come to life, really come to life,
Yeah,
But
the way you react to certain things, the way that some of the aspects of the culture, you carry yourself, how you wear your clothes, all that shit is
and it's crazy because there's like, everything's positive, like the reaction, right? But here and there, there's like some negative. They're like, ah, how fucking dare you dress up as a cop, man? Like,
it's a role.
I know that's what I'm
It's
saying. It's a fucking role. It's not. It's a movie. It's a series. It's TV. It's like, man, la neta me agüitaste. Like
I don't know. Some people I get that, I guess.
they get
The
like
like for me it was like for me it was just weird to see like, oh, this look at this fucker dressed like a cop now. But it's like a movie and it's a role, and then you see the nature of what you're doing though. It's like, hey, I'm adapting this role of this person who's wearing this uniform, but like, pero soy yo, cabrones. Y
y-
donde vengo, donde vengo. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah,
always
yeah.
there.
Y luego también pues you evolve. You evolve. You want to do everything. Like I got that a little bit of slack too because I have my band, right? So it's like new metal, like rap rock band, and I perform with a live band when I perform. So there's some hardliners que son como fans de Conejo from way
Yeah,
back
the guys that
because
were
they're
like
like, man, what
following
the
you for
fuck are you doing? But Lo que no entiendes que when I grew up, I was a stoner when I was a little. I had long hair. We listened to punk. Hoover Park, they used to have it was called the Gig. Yeah, it was just all punk, and then we're heavy metal. I was skating. I was just a regular kid, and I grew up on that. But ellos nomás de cholo pa acá, and they don't want to
Purist.
see nothing else, nothing before, nothing after. But so and you evolve into doing other things that inspire you. So if I have to be a cop, a detective, shit, I've dealt with them long enough.
Like
No vaya a saber.
who would know better? Like, but for me, it's been, like they see who I was, and cops in Mexico have a horrible reputation. It's shady. Fuck, ¿Cómo no? ¿Cómo vas a
No,
sobrevivir?
y de hecho, cuando hicimos la primera entrevista,
Yeah.
estaban también cagando el palo unos güeyes. Pinche conejo está allá platicando con un pinche Pepo, se pasa de verga, el güey. And I'm like, man,
But,
fool,
but like the first thing we did when we talked,
for hours.
we were smoking. We just smoked, right?
Yeah,
We just fucking smoked weed. And it's an aspect of it, like the purists are like, "Hey Ed, what do you think about the police?" I don't like interacting with authority figures.
yeah,
But por qué? Like what? But you were a cop in Mexico and I didn't have a good time. That's not who I am. Like that was a shitty experience that I put myself through. Like people want to talk about cautionary tales. I thought it was a good idea to be a cop in Mexico. At some point, I'm a fucking idiot. Finding a way out of that and evolving into what I am now, be bringing people on to have talk about how they went from that to here. Um, I have friends who are cops, cool, but I have friends who are not cops,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I try and keep myself open to like conversations with everybody. But my main thing right now is to try and figure out what to do with my experience and how to give back. Like if you see, like if I can figure out how to give back to this person, or if I can figure out how to connect with somebody in my past who was an enemy, and like if you realize,
yeah, yeah,
like we were like when we met again, we're like tense, like este cabrón, a ver quién es, like what's going on. But now, like after it, you're like, yeah, this guy was afraid too. This guy was on the run too, and this guy's trying to figure out shit after that because that's a lot of wasted time if you think about it.
yeah,
A lot of wasted time in a fucking room trying to figure out who's gonna kill you and how,
yeah,
that you could have been spending doing something different. But somehow that experience brought you to here where you are, acting, making music, making not only music, but also music that you would have wanted to have made.
when I was a kid, when I was younger, yeah, but I think todo tenía que pasar the way it did, but like like even this whole year, I've had like a dope year. Like when I think about it, I was in London filming another movie that was written by Sylvester Stallone, like a childhood hero,
Wild.
and a fight scene. I get to fight Jason Statham, the transporter, and same thing. I'm walking around London, lo mismo. De hecho, ando con el driver, we're driving around down, like the main part of like downtown London, and miro Danny Trejo's tacos. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't get to eat them, but
Yeah.
we scoped them out, and then I seen some other taco spot. What was it called? I took a picture of it. I forgot, but it was like it says. I think it was called like Chilangos or something. Like I'm like, all right, cool, and just that, I get to travel and get to just like see the world and just
It's a
experience different things because like us, like we don't where we grew up, we don't really leave there. Like
yeah.
I think like Vegas is the cutoff line. Us, we don't go past Vegas for some reason. We don't go past Colorado. No pasamos de ahí. Like estamos como it's like
Yeah, it's an
we're in a
imaginary bubble.
bubble.
You can't leave. You like, what are you doing there? Like, why would you go
Yeah.
to Europe?
Y cuando I remember que I'm in the plane, right? You're in the big planes, business class, you're flying to Europe. We're going and oh shit, y pues you're in a little booth. It's all, you get your own TV, you get comfortable, se hace cama. And then it's like boom. All right, everybody put your seatbelt on. We're gonna go through some turbulence. I'm like, man. I put my shoes back on. That's like a 12-hour flight. I never took off my shoes because I'm like, man, some
Something
shit
happens,
happens.
you have to
I need
fucking
to
run.
be like run, jump out of. I don't want to like
You're
die
f-
with my shoes off. Die without my shoes on. Like I gotta like be able to. It's weird.
Can we talk about our filming experience?
Yeah.
Is it cool?
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah.
You reached out to me this year. I don't even remember what part. This year for me has not been as cool. This I think this year for me has been like, hey, like whoever's up there is like, hey, tranquilo way, like
See.
like fucking figure shit out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Health wise, it's just been different for me. But I've been fucking pushing forward. You reached out to me like, hey, you wanna go record this
Round table.
roundtable discussion with a bunch of people that would have probably killed you
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
the past if they were in the same situation. And you told me like, yeah, we're gonna have these people that have this life experience, and like I know some of them now. I didn't know some of them before, and when I was there hearing them, like these people are experienced people.
Yeah.
You got the most incredible group of people to just fucking hang out
Yeah.
around this fucking table. This what is this project called?
Ski mask boys.
Um, we had JC show up to that.
Yeah.
Wrong to strong JC,
Yeah.
amazing guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a crazy story. His story too is just like real. I thought he'd be, like I reached out to him the same way. I thought he'd be perfect for it. I'm like, he has that background and he's on a positive trip, and I'm like that's cool. Like we can't make it out of this. We don't gotta like.
Everybody there was at some point in their lives in the black.
Yeah.
Like even myself, I worked some black shit in my life. But you can tell that everybody there was no egos there.
Nah.
No
We're
egos there.
chilling.
Like everybody there, I could.
It almost
You
felt
know
like
what?
we were in a big tent. Like we all slept in that same room.
Yeah,
And we were in a mansion with a gang of rooms.
Yeah, but he was like, ¿dónde vas a dormir? ¿Dónde duermen ustedes, cabrón? Ya tengo miedo de que va a pasar algo aquí. Like, something's gonna fucking happen. But there was no egos there. Everybody there fucking had a background. You can tell. You fucking tell. The camera crew, was great, and the production team was great. But they knew, like you would see them,
Yeah,
like
yeah, no. You know what? I had some concerns in the beginning. I thought like, man, we might get raided by like, I could see the military flying a drone in.
and looking at the type of
What
people.
the fuck? These dudes are wearing ski masks. What's going on in here? And I had some concerns like, man, we might get raided. Like that's why that last day when we wrapped up, you guys could stay at the house. The house is paid off. Hell no.
Fuck
We'll
no.
get the fuck up out of here.
Fuck out of here. We show up there. We kind of meet each other, and there's like it's tense,
Yeah.
For me, it's like I'm the odd man out. I'm the fucking puerco, you know. I'm the fucking puerco in the corner. But I start speaking to like each of them, and I met some of them before, but like, I think we had this moment where like I didn't know JC that well, and some of the other guys there like were new to me, and we had this moment where somebody was rolling a joint for all of us, and we're just fucking smoking in this fucking
Yeah.
balcony, and I just have this realization where like any other moment in our history, this couldn't happen. There's fucking no way that all of us could be in chill, relaxed setting, talking about the past in such a way, and figuring out between us, like all of us were like talking about, hey, let's try and keep this information safe. I'll guide this conversation in this way, so
Yeah.
we're all fucking safe. And we just realized in that moment we're all gonna watch each other's fucking backs and
Yeah.
mouths for what we're about to do, because it's not easy
Nah, these are people that
putting people like that in a
they-
room.
these stories, a lot of these stories, these people would go to the grave with them. They're not
Yeah.
gonna tell them to nobody.
And another thing that I've also noticed when I was there, yeah, we were speaking about some dark shit. elements of the past. JC, some of the trauma that he went through as a
Yeah.
person is like,
It's
I mean,
deep.
it's otherworldly shit. Like I went through some shit, you went through some shit, but some of the stuff that you went through was fucking black. And to see the human being he is now,
Yeah, yeah.
like he'll call me to this day to ask me how I'm doing out of nowhere,
Same here. He
or
texts
just
me all the time.
or sends me this beautiful a beautiful like sentiment. This guy who was this hardcore
Yeah, yeah.
criminal, or one of the other voices there, who I know, was part of that life, and we talk. I consider him a friend. Like if
Yeah.
me haces un paro, te hago un paro. Cool. It's the bizarreness of it. Like it's just like surreal to have all these different people from all these different lives, and you were centric to this. Like there's no like I can get people like that together in a
You know,
room.
when I met the producer Greg, um, he was like, it's weird because my drummer in my band is related to Richard Ramirez, right?
Okay,
The Night
the
Stalker.
night soccer, yeah,
So it's that'd be his uncle, I think. Yeah, because that's his dad's cousin. So and then there was this like Irish mafia guy that came to one of our rehearsal sessions, and I'm like, "Stood on heroin?" Because it's loud in there. They're even a, and the dude's on the couch just like knocked out, like
yeah,
there's no noise in there, like he's hearing water and rain or something. And then somehow I met Greg, and then me and Greg went and had like dinner and some drinks, and I was like, what if I assemble, like, we wanted to do something. I go, what if we assemble the Mexican Avengers and we just sit and talk and we capture this and then, share it with the world. And he was like, I could produce this. So it's coming.
yeah. It's like the amount of tact and effort to be able to. It's basically a group therapy session of a sort
Yeah.
around a table where people are sharing not only some of their experiences but also like some of the cost of it. You know, PTSD is something that I'm really aware of, and
Yeah.
I went through a shit ton of therapy and all that shit, and like being in that room with all these people there, like it's is no different from me being in front of somebody that went through, who was a veteran that went through a war. Like all of you guys had, JC had his schedule. That's how he kept himself grounded. He just woke up at two, three,
4, 3.
3 in the morning and just fucking worked out like a maniac. And I was like,
Yeah.
"You want to wake up with me at 3 in the morning?" I was like, "Oh, God,
Yeah.
I'll catch you on the next one." Just worked out like a maniac. The another dude who was there, heavy background, got up and made us coffee. That level of shit. You're like, where are we? Who are these people?
Yeah. 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 No, I was it was dope because we were there the 4 days, but 2 days actual filming.
Yeah.
We ate together. We all slept in that one room together.
If
We
something
just
happens, fucking just go through here, fucking making our plan and shit like
I don't know. I think I can't wait for this to come out. I can't wait for people to see this.
that. One aspect of it that was also kind of pretty interesting is, um, despite the life that all of them led, all of them had people waiting for them after it was ending. Like everybody had to leave to go back to there,
Yeah.
which is awesome because it means that you can, there is redemption. I guess is a lesson that I got there. Like you could fucking be the fucking hardest dude in the world and do some of the darkest shit in the planet. Uh, pero si te aborazas, if you're too fucking greedy, your Brenda's gonna eat you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could end up on top of a fucking cauldron. And the difference between the people that make it and the people that don't is Los aborazados se van. Judas, Judas for like a few pieces of silver. That's the guy that made that kiss. That's how that happened. So like you can fake a lot of shit, but like surviving that stuff, that level of fucking violence and shit like that, you have to be a special somebody. Yeah, there's no way around it. Um, the that experience was pretty cool, and just seeing how you have now kind of like adopted this position as a I don't know, man, like music wise, I've seen you like kind of evolve that music aspect of it. Now you're getting involved in production and like putting a bunch of people together, and also just like pulling people's names up from the past that were they were around you that you now help out. I've seen you being very altruistic with a lot of the people that you've met over the years here in Tijuana,
Yeah,
who have
yeah,
been with you since
yeah.
since where you were running around, and they're still around you, but now you're a benefactor to them. You know, what does that how has that been for you? Like coming back as a benefactor and not as
You
a
know what?
burden.
A lot of people helped me in so many ways while I was here. Even if it was just a ride from here to there, where I know I was in a tough situation, we'll move you from here to here, and so nobody on like para que nadie te mire, we'll move you. Don't come out. We're gonna bring you food. We're gonna bring you everything. A lot of people help me, and I just some of them I can't pay back because they're not here no more. Some I can, so I just you don't forget. You don't forget, and it's cool to bless the boys because it's just
I've seen you and like you. It's why probably it's hard for you to talk about yourself, but I've seen you come back as a benefactor and like legit help out a shit ton of people, man. And that's fucking great, man. Like I recognize that.
just because I seen other people do it too. I seen I that like I've been blessed to have like cool people in my life that they've done it. Que me echaron la mano from the get go. I don't even know. I wouldn't have made it without all those people because
Yeah,
it gets rough, and I seen people that don't have no one, they don't make it. I don't know.
they're they're fine.
We'll go.
Yeah,
So I seen people and that don't have that that aspect in their life, and it's just if they don't make it and they do make it, it's just harder for them to make it,
yeah,
because we all need that little push to like
yeah. No man's an island. Every now and then you need somebody to show up for you, and some of these people, yeah, like how would they show up? And if you were an asshole, the people that don't have that usually is because they're unbalanced or they're missing something. You know, like I was a retarded independent person for years of my life, and then I started like really letting myself be helped. And yeah, people will show up for you. Like, and I get it. Some people like us have been fucked over by many, or if we had a few enemies that were actual enemies, not like the I'm gonna talk shit about you. Like I'm
no,
gonna murder you if
your
I
whole
see.
family too.
Yeah, that level of fucking shit. So like that usually produces two types of individuals. Either a recluse is gonna go live in the woods and go Unabomber style and just fucking send bombs to people, which in a lot of ways you were fucking that and I was that. We were fucking all doing our own thing and kind of keeping our family safe, but also at the same time trying to figure out how to get at somebody. Um, and some people just stay there and they don't fucking just evolve. The evolving part of it, I think, is
That's why I like now I just like traveling. There's an opportunity. Hey, you're gonna go to Atlanta, or you're gonna go to I was in Costa Rica, San Jose, Costa Rica. De hecho, fui a la casa de donde el Rafael Caro Quintero was hiding out. I went there, and it's crazy because, well, when he was there, it was probably a beautiful,
villa.
yeah. But now they built a whole colonia in the middle of it. So I went there, and the local was explaining to me, it's like right there where that little school's at. There was a pool somewhere right there, and then his maids all live right here. And I'm like, man, he'd be heartbroken if he seen what happened to donde vivía y te metes y I mean, I don't know why I went there, but you know, as a Mexican in Costa Rica, let me go over there.
It's a connection,
Yeah, it's a connection.
and also it's like that we're from that life, and like, every now and then I hear shit like that. I consult for the news every now and then, or like speak about some of this stuff, and we always get asked, like specifically now that cartels are
Yeah, yeah. It's,
back at the top of the news cycle, but in a different way. We we just passed a another fucking historic election in the U.S. and we are as Mexicanos, as Chicanos, as Latino, we're kind of in the middle of it again.
yeah,
Both the immigration side of it, which affects me because I'm an immigrant, you know, the cartel side of it, the criminal side of it. You know, I was part of that war for a while, so were you. Um, Now we have this El Presidente and the Orange Man now saying that he is going to go after, you know, two fronts, you know, La Raza, immigrants, and cartels. You know, like I'll pose the first question to you because it's an interesting one, and specifically from your point of view. He's saying that he's going to designate cartels terrorist organizations, which he already said that, like when he was there 4 years,
yeah,
he said that, but he never did it.
yeah.
He said it again. Uh, what do you think about S- SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force showing up in Mexico and doing raids, trying to find people who are hidden in the populace, just like you were in set? Like you know how these guys hide cells that are separate in a city. You are disconnected from your weaponry. The weapons would be delivered. Like, how do you think SEAL Team 6 is going to function in that
It's
war?
because like that I got like there's like I think several possible outcomes of that. I don't think it's I mean,
You think it's
one
a,
outcome is gonna be maybe easy. One is probably gonna be bloody. Another one is gonna just
so,
might destabilize things, you know.
so you've been around for people at a top level getting their so you
I mean, but
sent you
really like top bosses, they don't really go down. If anything, they get extradited.
yeah.
But you don't really see.
Let's say
I
you
mean, they do, but
but what happens usually when you cut a few heads at the top level?
yeah, there's gonna be they're gonna create a bunch of new cartels or something's gonna happen, you know, because
That's usually what happens. Like
yeah,
if like we've been around for some of that, you
yeah,
decapitate one group, and
and then
that
there's
group turns into
the
two,
two, yeah,
and now there's two of them. So the competition between them is higher. So now they have to find ways of paying their people, and that could be now it's not just drugs anymore; it's
yeah, it's
extortion
extortion, kidnapping, human trafficking, everything, you know,
and
organ trafficking. I don't know. It
it's
just
it's hard to think of it as a simple thing. Like, we're gonna send SEAL Team
yeah,
6
yeah, I
down
don't, I
there.
don't, I don't see it that easy. I don't know. It's a complicated thing, you know. Just for being here, and then this is a country that has a lot of like tourists. So how you like,
Americans,
yeah, American tourists
like
are coming here
some
because
some of the places where they're going to try and get these guys are owned and surrounded by Americans living
you know that
here.
like in the past, you know, when me being here and even probably now, they'll put an alert like they'll be like all Americans, like we don't want you traveling to Mexico. I don't think that's ever stopped it, you know. And
Yeah,
I don't. I mean, who stopped coming because they got that?
and also like there's always these outliers in these groups. Like you would say, yeah, this criminal organization is going to be afraid that they're going to send SEAL Team 6 down for them, right? Maybe. Let's say that maybe there's a few of them that were going to be afraid of that. They're going to go underground or disperse or whatever. But there's always this crazy ones too, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm
Like
saying. So it's
you'll
it's it's not an easy thing. That's just it's easier said than done, I think.
And also we just had again this new generation cartel guy being nabbed in Riverside, California. They're like you played a character in a movie, which was in a lot of ways speaking about a reality that I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Because in Americans' minds, they're always like, "We're gonna get the cartels," and then their heads, they're like, they're over the border in Mexico, and that's we have to just get them before they get here. But they're already in the United
Yeah,
States.
yeah.
They're already growing in influence. There's parts of the United States that belong to one side or the other. So if you launch a war against cartels in Mexico, how do you do that without dealing with the fact that they're already in the United States in a lot of ways? There has to be.
They need like a massive think tank to like map this out because I just there's just so many variables and saying we're gonna go after the cartel heads. There's just so many. I don't. It just seems
They just
it's easy to say it the way they said it,
yeah,
but to
to apply it.
to apply it, there's just too many variables. There's just too many people, like just regular common folk people that live amongst all this, and what
Yeah,
it's collateral damage
and not only that, I mean, Mexico is a third world country, but we're very first world in a lot of ways.
yeah, yeah, it's
And
not
if
the
you don't
same
believe that, why there are so many Americans now making their
living here.
living here? So cell phones are going to be out. Videos are going to be out of some of these operations being going on in a public space.
Yeah.
And if they're going to utilize drones or drone strikes in urban environments like
I
this,
don't see that like that. I don't.
we're seeing an open military operation of that nature play out in places like Palestine and what that is doing for the public eye and sentiment.
Yeah.
We just saw the arrest of
And the thing is that Mexico is like an ally to the U.S. You know, it's like North America.
we're attached at the hip economically. There is no one with out the other right
It's
now.
like that's what I'm saying. It's just so many. There's just so many. That's a hard one.
What you mentioned though is true. This whole aspect of going after one and making them multiple, or making something worse by going after a single head. We've seen this over and over again. We just had the arrest of El Mayo Zambada, right? Who was supposedly abducted by one of the lowest level members of Los Chapitos, put on a plane and flown over the border and handed over to the US. And like, I'm suspicious about that. I think that was probably some sort of very US directed operation. I don't think it was as simple as somebody just putting them on a plane, but whatever. And now they've been through months of warfare in Culiacan. I mean, it's open warfare between both factions and the government, and it's a shit show. People can't fucking move. People can't work. It's a shit show. Now imagine that playing out across the country
Yeah,
indefinitely.
in several states at the same time. Because well, the bosses they're from different states. You know, they're from different.
And in a lot of ways, like just like here when you were active, some of these groups is la policía. Like some of these guys are the ones that
the
are keeping
government.
order.
Yeah, yeah.
They're keeping order. So you cut off the head of the snake here, but they were in a way keeping order or governance over smaller fucking unit groups.
Yeah,
And shit
it's too complicated. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It was just it's easy to say it, but
what would you recommend if you had the powers that be? Like, what would you recommend their solution be? Está cabrón.
está cabrón, la neta, no sé,
Está
no sé.
cabrón.
On the you mean on the like from a U.S. standpoint?
Yeah, from the U.S. standpoint, like stop doing coke.
Yeah, I mean,
That's about it, right? Deja de usar drogas, like stop doing coke.
yeah. I don't know. And then plus, then we have the new Mexican president. I don't know. She's not gonna be feeling it.
No, she's completely on the other side of the spectrum.
Yeah. So, man, it's just complicated. I've talked about this with friends, and we and I'm like, and it sounds like this, like, man, I don't know how they're gonna.
It's beyond.
How
It's beyond the complexity.
without destroying the country, because it would bring destruction.
Yeah, it's disruption and destruction. So let's say you target a faction here in Baja, whoever you want, like somebody, gets SEAL Team 6 showing up to their house, and it turns into a whirlwind gunfight. The army here isn't pretty cool with the US maybe being here, so it turns into a gunfight with them. That turns into an international incident. They close the fucking border. How long do you think that's gonna take for the economic effects of it
Yeah,
being
that's what
felt
I'm
in
saying.
California?
That's another whole thing. The economic effects of it. There's just too many variables. There's just like I said, we've talked about this with friends, and it's just like it's just too complicated.
Fi f
I don't see how they're gonna.
5 years ago, I said I was predicting, some sort of military intervention of the US and Mexico, and it's not like I want that,
Yeah,
but I just predicted it because of how things are going
yeah,
politically
yeah,
and how the country's going to the left side of the political spectrum, how the US is now back on this path with the elections, and how they're gonna America first, and again, this whole cartels are terrorists now apparently, so it's complex. And also again, I'm an immigrant, you know, your raza, like this aspect of this feeling now in this country where immigration is has a long history, and people want to tell us about that history. Like, um, I get told about some of the bracero movement and how some of the people involved in that were heroes in the U.S. But some of those same people would say horrible shit about immigrants. I'm not going to say who they are, but we can research.
even that immigration is it's a tough just like with everything that's been happening and like the crisis at the border, but it's like my family came as immigrants, and so we it's
But I always tell people this, like, it's different. Un mexicano brincándose, like a Mexican jumping over in the 80s or 90s and going to work in construction or going to work in a kitchen or going to work in a field is very different than 50 Chinese nationals walking in file with a backpack, fully like, that's a different
that's what I'm saying. Like
that's a different thing.
you see these things and you try to weigh them out and figure out
Yeah, like, what should I be
what's the solution to this, and
like
it's just like
like me as an immigrant, I didn't get a debit card. I didn't get a hotel. I didn't get any sort of support. I had to prove that I was financially independent to be able to go through my immigration process. I had to prove that my marriage was real. Like, my kid was with me, and that wasn't enough. Like, yeah, here's our kid.
yeah,
That's not enough. It's treated horribly. Fucking horrible. The immigration process in the US is fucking difficult and not easy, no support, nothing. And then I see people doing wheelies on Venezuelans doing wheelies on mopeds in New York and getting a debit card. So for people that are on that woke side of it, like that will call some like, hey, you're an immigrant. Why aren't you supporting all of this? Like, how can I? Like, how can I support that? That's not the same as what I went through or what some of my Mexican family went through when they would migrate. They had to fucking work in a kitchen, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. All my families, they're workers. They work hard for the country and to stay in the country. It
yeah.
hasn't been easy for none of them,
And like, if something we immigrants have in the US is we're somos calladitos, calladitos. Like, we're quiet, we're a quiet majority. We've seen what happens when immigrants get taken out of the equation. Like, there's been a few places in the US where they made illegal migrant labor like hard to get, and it tanks the economy because nobody fucking wants to work in some of these places.
nobody wants those jobs.
No
Yeah,
one wants their jobs. So there are segments of society that want to keep illegal immigration illegal because of the cheap labor aspect of it. And also, no, immigrants run the U.S. kitchens. Like I've been to some of the high level restaurants, gourmet places, and you go into the kitchen. Hey, Carlos, hey, no, del Cerro Colorado. Like dude, I met this fucking kid from El Cerro Colorado in New York at this restaurant, like this high level place. And I go into the kitchen. It's a Japanese restaurant, right? And Mexican back from Tijuana.
Crazy.
Um, I don't know. It's difficult. I'm conflicted.
Man, I think for like the government, it's a complicated task, honestly, because para quedar bien con todos,
There's no way.
there's no way. It's
There's
like
no
it
way.
just, man, I don't know. Like, because I've heard the rhetoric, like we're gonna
They
dun dun dun
deport
dun.
deport all of them.
But
But then you get like, we're just gonna deport the illegals. But there's a part of that conversation that's like, no, all of them. It seeps in there every now and then. This racist aspect of it that is real, and this anti-immigrant thing that is very real. And in a lot of ways, like the scary immigrant brown person that crossed the border, that's the new scarecrow. And I'm like, like, that's what you need to fear. And that, on one hand, but on the other hand, people like having produce in their supermarket.
yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough, la neta. I just because I've seen like I've had family members that like me growing up coming to the US and hearing the stories and what they went through and how they and I seen them like go up and end up being homeowners and doing good for themselves and raising their kids and now so man it's just it sucks and then on the human side like humanity like seeing like that's my family.
Yeah,
We look out for our family, but these are other people that we don't know and they're coming, but it's damn, it's fucked up.
yeah.
Apenas llegaron and they going out.
They're going out, and
So
and also and also what's fucked up. I mean, just
and they're gonna be hunted. They all I bet you they all feel like fugitives right now.
I
All
mean,
of them.
everybody's like, when I went to the U.S. and I was going through my immigration process, Trump just got elected, so immigration processes for somebody like me would take maybe a year. It took 2 years because everybody and their grandmother went to they were afraid because everybody was saying the same thing they're saying now.
Yeah.
He's going to deport everybody. It doesn't matter if you have a legal claim. He's just going to shut everything down. So
I don't think it's gonna be like that
it,
easy to
he's people need to realize he's already been there for 4 years.
yeah.
And the person that is responsible for the most deportations in recent history,
Wasn't him.
it was Obama, which isn't a pro-Trump claim. It's just the truth. He deported a lot of people, for whatever reasons he did. He also won a Nobel Peace Prize and fucking killed a shit ton of people with drones, but whatever. But it's I guess what I've been experiencing is like, I'm an anarchist. Like I don't care about any of those sides. Just want to be left alone, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I
I
want
I just want to go to my gay best friend's wedding with a gun on my hip and smoke a joint and just be left the fuck alone, right? That's what I would want. But I know there's like a big divide in the country, and like that you have to be on one side or the other, which
yeah.
is, and I'm like, no, you don't. Both sides have fucking some bullshit going on,
Yeah.
which is like, I
And
don't.
then like even like here, like TJ, the way the city is, a lot of that people is here
Yeah,
waiting to go there. They might not even get to go there, so they're gonna become part of this. Like,
yeah, and also just like another aspect of it is pretty interesting to me is celebrities now saying that they're going to leave the country because of the guy that won, right? We're not going to live here anymore. We're going to go live somewhere else because this guy's scary. The funny thing about those fuckers is they never move to Mexico. There's always Canada or somewhere else. Like, what's wrong with Mexico? You
yeah,
racist pricks. Like, why aren't you going to move to Mexico to hide out there? We have the American dream is in Mexico now. Like, this is where, and I think you and me are a pretty good example of this cross border life that we know how to navigate between both borders. And when you think about it, really, like you and me can go across the border. We have businesses and lives in the US, but we also have family in Mexico and we come down and visit that aspect of it. Like, we're not the border eventually. Like, it'll take a few years, but eventually with all the cross pollination we have as a country, it's not even gonna matter anymore in a few
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
probably.
What you call it? My grandparents became American citizens. They're just like, damn, that's crazy, you know. And I just remember having a conversation with my grandfather before he passed, like maybe like 5, 6 years before he passed, and he was just telling me, he's like, I'm good. I made sure that all my kids were good. I'm s-
Golden.
yeah, and it was made possible because of the US, because I don't know, at, there's no, I mean, Europe is like the US in a way, but like the US, I don't think there's another place like that.
Yeah,
The
there's
way the way it is, like where you could come and if you work hard, you could make some. I mean, you could do that anywhere. You could do that here. You could do that anywhere. But
but in the US, there's less enemies, there's less enemies to it where you can figure something out, come up with something new. There's, like, space for it. There's energy. There are people that are allowing you to do that, and the way things are set up, it's, like, on you. It's a responsibility, like, it's on you. If you wanna it's there if anybody wants to fucking fight for it, basically. Here, you have to know somebody.
yeah, yeah,
You have to have a palanca. You have to have this padrino to help you out with it, or you have to know
or
somebody.
have some money to pay your way through that.
But in the US, you can, and you were an example of that. Like, you were somebody that had to remade his life, fucking remake your life again after the situation you were in, and I got to the US with a 2-year-old in one arm and the money in my pocket, and here I am. There's
What you call it? When I was in Barcelona recently, allá no me encontré ningún mexicano. What I did, it was a lot of Colombians, a lot of Colombians, a lot of people from there was a lot of Peruanos, Bolivianos, de Ecuador, a lot of them, and the way they were like the Mexicans
of that,
of Europe,
yeah.
of Spain, and I just like watching their struggles. And then I remember there was a guy, I did a show over there, right? And then the guy, he sent a message to the Instagram and he said, "Hey, can I pay at the door? Because I don't have a bank account and I can't buy a ticket online." And it just
It's
tripped
a
me
reality.
out.
It's a reality.
It just tripped me out. Like they're out there in Europe. They made their way from South America to Europe, and they're están luchando for a better life.
Yeah.
They left for some reason.
A- and what one of the main dreams of most immigrants is to go back. If you think about it, a lot of immigrants, not all of them, but a lot of immigrants that I've met in the US who made it big, they built a house in Mexico and that's where they want to retire. They want to go
Yeah, yeah,
back. That's their whole,
yeah, yeah.
a lot of them have that goal. Um and I guess one thing I would want, I guess this whole conversation in the US right now is just immigration bad. Simplistic. Immigration bad, orange man bad, this side good, this side bad, all of this, like, and let's just figure out a way to just fucking cut all this shit
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But it's very, like, people should kind of first realize that there is a large amount of illegal immigrants who are keeping the country going in many ways. During
Yeah.
COVID, you didn't see you didn't see an unstocked produce aisle.
No, no, there was I forgot who posted the picture where COVID's going on and then they showed the field workers all
They're
out there,
they're working.
and then
So are they essential workers?
yeah, they were essential workers.
And then, like, if anybody has any sort of like issue with that, then with illegal immigration, they should then explain to you what the reality of those people are. Then, like, if they're illegal, they should all be deported. Cool.
Yeah,
How then are you going to?
man, it's a tough one, man. Like it's crazy the way this
Uh,
whole
uh,
thing that's going on, this geopolitical like view of everything. It's just it's because you know, I'm like torn apart by
Me too. I
I'm
mean,
like down the middle, but you know, I have family on this side. Then I know what's going on with the country. Do we want to ruin the country? But these
yeah,
people are good. Who's bad?
like
It's
I'm
just
like for me, I'm an immigrant. I did it legally. But I know illegal immigrants who are also fucking working their ass off, sending money back to Mexico,
yeah,
and they're doing their thing. So I can't also say they are the villains. But also, I've seen some of the other
yeah, yeah,
types of migrants coming in who
yeah.
are all about the benefits. They don't give a fuck about work. They want to live somewhere for free, get free benefits, and just fucking ride that shit into the ground.
I feel like this problem it got big. I
Yeah.
don't think it was big at one point, but now it's big, and now it's like now they want to fix it. It's gonna be. It
I mean,
seems so hard.
immigration from Mexico into the United States was actually going down historically for a long period. And then this these caravans and this invitation into like, yeah, this happened at some point in recent history. And it's like I've seen what this country does to immigrants, Mexico. Like we're aware that the US has a very overwhelmed, immigration service. They're trying to do what they're doing, like, but it's like mountains of people. Mexico doesn't give a shit about them. Like they'll like the caravans will come up. Inami shows up. Our immigration service shows up, and they'll put them in a room and like see if they have any money.
Yeah.
You know,
You know what? I was crossing the border last time, right? And you know, there was the Haitians are out there like selling the stuff that
working
you really see the like the Mexicans, you know, like whatever Sarapes, that Scarface
all the
picture with
curios,
Chapo,
all
that
the
one.
curios. Yeah,
Yeah, so but this guy was selling these little plants. So es como es una Virgen Maria, but it has a little plant in it. I
oh
don't know if you've
garden.
seen them,
Yeah,
a
like
little baby garden on it. So the dude, I didn't want to buy it. You know, I didn't want to buy it. Like I just was thinking, and he comes up, he shows it to me, and then obviously es haitiano, he's Haitian, y le pregunto like how's he adapting, you know, how's he, and then he spoke Spanish, and then I told him how you getting along, ya tienes novia mexicana, and then he tells me, he said, no, mi esposa está en Haiti. I'm saving money to bring my wife. Oh, it fucked me up. And then and I go, what did you do in Haiti? He goes, I'm a doctor in Haiti.
yeah,
It
yeah.
double like it hurt me. Like my human side was like, you know, I bought it, and then when I get to the line, they snatch the plant out. They chip it to see if it's not
There's
made
drugs
of
in it.
fucking cocaine. I don't know what
Yeah,
they ruined it, you know.
it's true. Like
But it just that what I heard at that second was like, fuck. My
it's
human side was like,
it's a different type of immigration. You have those Haitians came in after the earthquake, and then like they got hit
yeah,
by an earthquake and a hurricane, and we got to see civil engineers, doctors, people with like a background who were trying to migrate to the U.S. and were told no, and
no,
they stayed in
yeah,
Tijuana. Tijuana absorbed like 3,000 of them, I think, in one go at one point, and no issues there. Like without it, we absorbed those people with no issues. But then the Venezuelans came in the caravan, and those were completely different. They were living off money, cash donations from who knows who. They were being fed and housed and clothed by donations from the U.S. And they hated the locals, and they didn't want to work here. They wanted to go to the U.S. to get benefits. So there's a difference there. Not all of them, but there is definitely a difference there between that Haitian guy trying to work off to pay and
Somebody to bring his wife here.
these guys riding around in mopeds in the middle of Times Square getting grabbed by the cops. There's a difference there, and I guess I haven't seen that conversation yet happen. Um, I'm hopeful. This 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 the amount of people that we are seeing at the border now is like ramping up because everybody's trying to get in before.
Before Trump comes into
Yeah,
office.
yeah, and I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
The 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 stage is set for something to change. Like independently of you support whoever's in office or not, I wouldn't. They're about themselves, whatever. That's what politics is. But like Mexico is going through a transformation. It just arrested a bunch of uh, municipal presidents that have heads of security. One of them shot himself before he was arrested.
That was crazy.
He was like, "I don't want. They're not taking me alive." This police chief put a gun in his mouth and shot himself
Man.
before. Like, imagine what he knew. It's scary to think about the giant heavy ass sword that the U.S. wields because every time they try and Afghanistan a place or Iraq a place or whatever in recent history, they did well with Germany. They did well with Japan, but I don't know. Some of these other countries they haven't done so well. So like we're
Yeah, I don't know. I can't picture that happening to Mexico. Like
if
even though it's said like that,
hopefully it's more rhetoric than action.
or negotiations,
It has to be a negotiation of some sort.
because
Um, yeah, because we're family and we live on both sides of the border and we need each other more now more than ever. China's going away. Who's gonna make shit? Who's gonna build stuff?
I've been seeing things how Mexico's just like
It's
on
the
the
it's
cusp, but just like blow, like they're
it,
growing, they're
and it could either go the route of economic growth and will be like the US's best friend, or we can be part of BRICS, which is already being kind of discussed in certain weird political circles in Mexico because we're that twisted.
man. We'll see.
We'll see.
That's a
Um,
that's a movie too.
that's a whole fucking movie. Um, where can people find out more about you, your music? I mean, you're on Instagram. Like, where can people find out more about you and what you're doing?
Um, they could go to like one of my social media accounts, the official Conejo YouTube, the TikTok official Conejo, the Instagram Conejo rapper, Facebook the same.
And a few movies are coming out.
Yeah, the one the Jason Statham that drops next year, early next year, March. Dominique just dropped, so they could see that on Amazon, Apple TV. It drops in all Latin America on December 5th. So it's so want to see me dressed as a cop? Come. I did this short film called El Campo.
Okay.
And El Campo, it's about TJ. And it was filmed by a director that's from here. He's Octavio Pisano, he's from here from TJ.
Wow.
And so he knows the landscape, he knows this world. And we just screened it in France at the Cannes Film Festival. Got great reviews. I wish everybody could see it. Hopefully soon everybody will get to see it. It's called El Campo. And
That's it.
that's it.
Well.
And
Hopefully, they'll see a bunch of dudes with ski masks around the table
soon.
pretty soon. Um, Conejo, thank
Yeah.
you for coming on. Thank you for sharing some of those wild ass stories again. And also for your friendship. I know this has been it hasn't been easy to stay alive and keep alive all the way to this moment where we're here hanging out and not pointing guns at each other. Uh, but for people out there who are, there is there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not always a truck that's about to hit you.
Yeah.
Visualize, mentalize, um, and there's a way out.
Sometimes I forget, like But I gotta remind myself, like, wait a minute, you got a second chance at life. Don't forget that. What are you gonna do? You're gonna throw it away, or you're gonna try to do something with it. And everything that happened. So I just constantly remind myself, wait a minute, you were your life was hanging by a thread. So that I think that keeps one humble and just like just grateful, for everything and all the people I met along the way and all the people that I'm meeting now and all this networking and now it's like and everywhere I go the culture's there, so
Yeah, I think
we're
we're we're
there.
we're in a place where a lot of the stuff that we had lived through is going to be the fiction of now. So at some point, someone's gonna make a movie of you and me, like fucking figuring shit
I
out.
thought about that. A script about us.
We'll figure that out.
All right.
Conejo, thank you.
No, thank you.
Everything is a ritual. So
Everything is ritual. Everything's a ceremony.